at 12:31.
Call those people to order.
Justine, please be seated. Please be upstanding for the affirmation. We recognise the traditional owners of the land. We are inspired by the early pioneers and by those who gave their lives for our country. We now ask God's blessing on our deliberations and on our commitment to build a better lifestyle and environment. Please be seated. I've got to get closer. This council meeting is being recorded and live streamed to Council's YouTube channel. The recording will also be made available on Council's website. Whilst all care is being taken to ensure your privacy is maintained, please be aware that your presence may be recorded. Do I have any apologies? No apologies. A confirmation, could I have a motion to accept the minutes of the previous meeting?
Yes, Mr Mayor, I confirm that the meetings of the previous council meeting on the 5th of February 2024 appear to be an accurate record.
Could I have a seconder? Please.
I'm happy to second that.
Thank you, Councillor Heslop. Can I put that to the vote? All in favour? Carried. Matters arising from the minutes? Any matters arising from the minutes? No. And no presentations or awards, presentations of petitions or joint letters, there are none. Is there any disclosure of a conflict of interest? No. Informal meetings of councillors. Could I have a motion that the report on informal meetings of councillors be approved?
So moved, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor.
Happy to second, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. All in favour? Carried. Items brought forward. There are none. Consideration of reports to officers. 9.1, Enhance Lifestyles and Community. Could I have a motion, please? Oh, that's right, the Council Plan Action Report. Could I have a motion, please?
I'm happy to move the motion that Council notes the Council Action Plan report for the 1st of November 2023 to the 31st of January 2024 period and approves the forecast plan.
Thank you, Councillor Heslop. Could I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Excuse me just a minute, I'll get my paper in. Councillor Heslop, would you like to speak, please?
So we've had a discussion of the Council plan at a briefing, and we're all happy with the way that the report and the actions are progressing. Most of them are complete, in progress or on track, and if there are any that aren't, we've asked explanations why, and we're happy with the way it's all tracking.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Irwin.
Pretty well covered by Councillor Heslop. We have readjusted a few things, but this is the third report I think we've had over the last 12 months, so things are progressing along as well as could be expected.
Thank you, Councillor. Would any other councillor wish to speak? Karen, would you like to sum up?
Nothing further to add.
I'll put the motion to the vote. All in favour? Against? That's carried. (9.1.2) the Australia Day petition. Could I have a motion, please?
Yes, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move a motion on option 1 that the Council continues to hold Australia Day events in Stawell and St Arnaud and inform the leader, that the current elected council makes no changes to Australia Day events to be held in the Shire.
Thank you, Councillor. Could I have a seconder, please?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll second.
Thank you. Councillor Grady, would you like to speak further on the matter?
Yes, Mayor, we had, after the last year's, or this year's Australia Day celebrations in Stawell and St Arnan, we had a great turnout at both events and very good feedback from everyone who was present and people who missed out. I didn't get any sort of negative reports about it at all, so I think it's a great thing to keep going and welcome our new citizens, especially on Australia Day. It's a really special thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Grady. Councillor Starcevic.
Supported the community event at St Arnan, and supported the community event at St Arnan. Councillor Grady was sitting front and centre. With his fancy Australia Day hat. So it was good to see the John Goods, who was our Senior Citizen of the Year, remarked in his acceptance speech how good it was for Council to continue to uphold the Australia Day festivities here in St Arnan. And to that end, I think the the petition submission, which is a generic petition across all councils, may not adequately reflect the views, certainly at this end of the Shire. I certainly wouldn't dare to speak for those down the southern end of the ward who know, there are councils here who know better the feeling down that end, but certainly we had a very good outcome here in St Arnan. So thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Would any other councillors wish to speak?
Yeah, look,
Councillor
so I just want to outline that the petition, with in excess of 4,900 signatures read, we, the undersigned, petition that Council should leave Australia Day alone. Australia Day means different things for many. It is still a day to be proud and flag defending our freedoms. Some Australia Day may be painful. We believe that debate that was there had a fantastic day for the way that we run our Australia Day. So I'm happy that
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Grady, would you like to sum up?
No, I think...
Kevin, I beg your pardon. Sorry.
Just quickly.
Another councillor.
Just
Yes.
quickly, Mr Mayor, look, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Manu and Navarre having Australia Day celebrations. And I thank Councillor Starcevic for going out to Manu this year. But look, I haven't heard any people totally opposed to Australia Day, and I think it is a great day to recognise the contribution that many Australians make to their communities, and I'd be quite comfortable in leaving it where it is.
Thank you, Councillor Irwin. Now, Councillor Grady, if you'd like to sum up. Oh, we've got one more. I beg your pardon. Yes, one more, Councillor. Councillor Dempsey.
Thank you. I think changing the dates of the events that occur on 26th of January has been proposed for several reasons, including acknowledging the painful history and ongoing impact of colonisation on Indigenous Australians, promoting inclusivity and reconciliation and fostering a sense of national unity. Many argue that celebration is insensitive to Indigenous Australians and it represents the beginning of dispossession, violence and loss of culture for many Indigenous people. I truly acknowledge the success of the events that Council hosts on the 26th of January. However, the core values of Northern Grampians Shire Council talk about continuous improvement and best practice, respect and inclusivity of diversity. So I'd ask how many councillors have actually spoken to members of the community that this day does negatively impact on, or are councillors just basing their views on those that did attend the event rather than those who find the day hurtful. These people aren't the ones that are affected by the atrocities. It's about speak about.
Oh, and against. Thank you. Division. So all in favour? Councillor Ostashevich, Councillor Grady, Councillor Irwin, Councillor Heslop, Councillor Haswell and Councillor Emerson. Councillor Irwin.
Mr Mayor, this is a regular event designed to give sufficient clearance. It's a safety issue. We have to be compliant, and this is a plan to make sure that we do that compliance.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Emerson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Nothing further to add.
Would any other councillor wish to speak? Would the mover like to sum up? Councillor Irwin.
It does involve a lot of work, and congratulations to our staff who do this on a yearly basis, and a big thank you to them.
Thank you. I'll put that motion to the vote. All in favour? Carried. Against? Carried. (9.4.1) is the quarterly finance report. Could I have a motion, please?
Mr Mayor, I move that the Council A notes the financial report for the second quarter ended 31 December 2023, and B notes the Chief Executive Officer advises that formal adoption of a revised budget for 2023-24 financial year is not required.
Thank you, Councillor Ostashevich. Can I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Irwin. Councillor Ostashevich.
Every quarter we go through a revision of the budget, and sometimes there's a bit of juggling in terms of forecast and what projects can come to the fore, what projects are manipulated. We also get a presentation of the wobblies, which is a very intricate financial term now that's going to be adopted by the Australian accounting practice. It's pleasing to note that our wobblies are within tolerance of wobbles. We note that there's been a dip in rates received this year so far, but I'm sure that Vaughan and his team will manage that in due course. Graham is certainly on top of it. To that end, it's a steady ship actually financially as we move along, and we will be able to deliver the significant projects that we have on books as it stands. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ostashevich. Councillor Irwin.
Well summed up by Councillor Ostashevich. It has been reviewed, and we, like every other council should, we have to cut our cloth to the funds available, and we recognise that things have tightened up severely, and we need to keep an eye on our budget, as our finance team do, and adjust accordingly if required.
Thank you, Councillor. Would any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Heslop.
Yeah, just on further to what Councillor Irwin said, one good thing about our financial report is interest received, and forecast budget for interest is $221,000. Really, really nice to be getting some interest on our money in the bank, because that money, although already budgeted, definitely helps with our budget and our bottom line.
Thank you, Councillor. Would any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Ostashevich.
No, nothing further, Mr Mayor.
No, I'll put that to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. 9.4.2, Delegations update.
Come on, Eddie.
Yeah, Eddie. Could I have a motion, please, Eddie?
I need to lift my PC for this. It's come at this time of the year. We always have an opportunity to have an instrument of delegation. So the recommendation is A, Section 5, instrument of delegation from Council to our CEO. In the exercise of the powers conferred by Section 11, Part 1B of the Local Government Act 2020, the Act, Council resolves that 1, there be delegated to the person holding the position or acting in or performing the duties of Chief Executive Officer the powers, duties and functions set out in the attached instrument of delegation to the Chief Executive Officer, subject to the conditions and limitations specified in that instrument. 2, the instrument comes into force immediately upon this resolution being made and is to be signed by the Council's Chief Executive Officer and the Mayor. 3. On the coming into force of the instrument, all previous delegations to the Chief Executive Officer are revoked. 4. The duties and functions set out in the instrument must be performed, and the powers set out in the instrument must be executed in accordance with any guidelines or policies of Council that may, from time to time, adopt. B. Section 6. Instrument of delegation from Council to members of Council staff. In the exercise of the powers conferred by the legislation referred to in the attached instrument of delegation, Council resolves that 1. They be delegated to the members of Council staff holding, acting or in performing the duties of the offices or positions referred to in the attached instrument of delegation to members of Council staff, the powers, duties and functions set out in that instrument subject to the conditions and limitations specified in that instrument. 2. The instrument comes into force immediately the instrument is signed. 3. On the coming into force of the instrument, all previous delegations to members of Council staff other than the Chief Executive Officer are revoked. And 4, the duties and functions set out in the instrument must be performed, and the powers set out in the instrument must be executed in accordance with any guidelines or policies of Council that it may, in time to time, adopt. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Irwin.
Happy to second, Mr Mayor, now that Councillor Starcevich read out that long recommendation.
Thank you. So, Councillor Starcevich.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, this has become a routine whenever delegations or powers are modified. We have to resolve within Council that those powers are delegated appropriately. Now, our CEO, Mr Brent McAllister, will have no other excuse because the delegations are now immediately in force after the vote that the Mayor will take, and the Mayor's signature will have to go onto that piece of paper. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Irwin.
Nothing further.
Any other councillors wish to speak?
Yes, Mr Mayor, I might quickly speak if I may.
Thank you, Councillor.
This is straight out of procedural motion, which is a requirement of our business of running local government. If we didn't delegate authorities from time to time, the business of the Northern Grampians Shire would cease. So it's a very simple procedure, even though it had a very long resolution.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other councillors wish to speak? Would the mover like to sum up, Councillor Starcevich?
I think the resolution spoke for itself. We do have to find a way of simplifying that motion from now on, I think. And Mary's nodding her head saying absolutely not. So I guess this is going to be an ongoing treat. Thank you.
There we go. I'll put the motion to the vote. All in favour? Against? That's carried. Now, moving on to notice of motion or rescission. There are nil. Reports from councillors. Eddie, could I start with you?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The Queen Mary Gardens Advisory Committee and Friends of the Gardens actually had a meeting in, what are we now, March, in February. There were a few issues that have been put onto merit, and which is the Council's internal thing. It's a way of keeping track of activities that are requested from the community, and I'm lost for words. Queen Mary Gardens are now focusing their efforts on a passive playground in the space behind towards the drain, and council officers have been asked for their concept or plans, and that will be forthcoming to the advisory committee. SCAN had a meeting as well and we were lucky enough to have our Sergeant of Police here, who has really initiated a community policing program, and certainly commendations to Sergeant Tim Thompson for that. It has been a boon, I think, for this community, and it's only in its infancy, and it's already bearing fruit. Limited at the moment, but it will certainly grow. We also had a meeting with Sananda Recreation Advisory Committee. There's the multifunction sports and rec area up at Lord Nelson Park is paying dividends to the community. The fact that it is multifunction is a bonus. So previous council strategy and this council strategy of having a multifunction facility at various locations is being well received, I think, certainly across this area. There are teething problems, as there always will be, and that goes to floor finishings and various other uses. The handover in terms of the committees that do use these facilities is not yet fully complete. However, those teething problems are outweighed by the benefits that facility has provided to the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Dempsey.
Thank you. I've attended a number of meetings and things this month. The Store Recreation Advisory Group meeting minutes, I believe, are attached with the agenda for people to look through at their leisure. I attended a Recalibrate Professional Development workshop run by Ruth McGowan, Jenny O'Connor and Libby Mears, who have all been former mayors of their respective councils. So this was for current female councillors across the state, with the theme of the workshop being Reflect, Recharge and Reset, which involved goal setting, networking with like-minded women and empowerment and planning for future elections or future for individuals. I attended the Central Park walkthrough, so that's the what we've discussed in the past, female-friendly change rooms that are up and running, and they're almost complete with works being done and that are close.
This Thursday, hopefully.
This 24 elections were discussed, which is really getting closer now. And then female candidacies was discussed as well. So there are a number of female candidates who will be putting their hand up to run or also considering running. So that is quite significant for that group to be supporting. I also attended a number of council briefings, as did anyone. And I'd just like to say on that, I had been treated with complete disrespect by some councillors and do not accept the behaviour that I've been subject to. The behaviour must stop, as I'm sick of being the treatment that's occurring to me behind closed doors. So I'm just publicly calling that out, as I feel like I have no other avenue to turn to there, and hoping that things will continue to improve. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dempsey. Councillor Grady. Thank you. Councillor Irwin.
Very quickly, had a Western Highway Action Committee meeting and also had a follow-up meeting with Minister Pearson regarding the Western Highway. We're still waiting for the cultural heritage study to be completed. The rest of the time has been taken up with bushfires pretty much, so that's taken up a fair bit of my time.
So I attended the Thrive 50 Plus at the Stawell Library. That was the official opening. So since it's opened, I've spoken to the people that are running it. They've had a really good attendance of people going in there. So people of the 50 plus can go to the Stawell Library on a Tuesday or a Thursday, and they'll just coordinate different services with them and just let them know what's in the area that may interest them. And I believe the one in St Arnaud's being officially opened this week. It is opening, but it is open.
Wednesday.
On Wednesday, yeah. So looking forward to that as well. Also went to the opening of the St Arnaud Gold Mining Trail and Lord Nelson Mine Information Shelter. What a fantastic work of art. Like, they've put so much work and effort into getting this up and running. A lot of work has gone into it. Was well attended, the opening, very, very interesting. People want to go up there and have a look. It's a lot of history, and it's giving the past a future. So they've done a fantastic job and should be very, very proud of what they have achieved. Went to a local government reforms online session, also went to the SCAN meeting, went to North Central LEN meeting, also went to the Women on Council meeting. One of the things we did discuss was the changes in our ward structure. So Women for Council are sort of a group of ladies getting together to help other women that may be interested in running in our up-and-coming elections. And if anyone's interested, they have a Facebook site, and you can reach out to the Women on Council through the Facebook site, or Lauren or myself. We're just there to help support women generally that that may be interested in running, or may be interested in just watching and being some part of council. So we will go from 7 to 6 councillors, which will be a little bit of a change, but I think, I think the ward structure's been well received. And just in the last week or two, I just want to just really reach out and just say how good local communities are in supporting local people. It's just good to see our community rally behind with functions and fundraisers for those that were affected by the recent fires. And I know Lauren and myself have attended some events, and just fantastic to see just the generosity of people. So thank you for organising all those events.
Oh, here we go, I've got one here. February was a very, very busy month for all of us, I'm sure. Top of my list has got to be the bushfires and the effect that it's had on our communities. The heroes of the day were, of course, the CFA and all the volunteers that made every aspect of the fight, from the first moments through to the relief centre and into the final recovery stages. We were all amazed just how quickly the fires took hold. They were swift, and the response was swift, accurate and complete. A big thank you to all the volunteer staff that ran the relief centre. At one stage we had around 200 people registered, taking advantage of all that the centre was there to offer, and it was a fantastic operation. It happened so smoothly, you would have thought they'd been practising this every day for the last couple of months. It was fantastic. Thank you to the Vic Police, Red Cross, Salvation Army, and of course all of the Northern Grampians Shire Council volunteers that manned the stations there. I lost count of the number of TV and radio interviews that I did during that period. Special thanks to all the staff behind the scenes that kept me informed and up to date, especially Lauren Shipman, who's hiding over there in the corner. Fortunately, no lives were lost, but there were, now they have to sort of rebuild. It's sad, but it's happy that no lives were lost, but we've got with the rebuilding to do, and a lot of those people are elderly people that are on their own and they've lost everything. It's probably a lifestyle change that's going to happen. But anyway, I met with the Premier, Melissa Horne, Gail Tierney, Anne Webster. We had these ministers with feet on the ground in the Northern Grampians Shire, and it was great to see and have that support. So I just want to say again, thank you to all of the volunteer staff from the council and the other organisations. I think they need a round of applause. Thank you. Now I'll ask that the reports be received. Can I have a motion, please? Councillor Irwin.
Mr Mayor, I'll move those reports be received.
I'm happy to second, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Emerson. Right. All in favour? Carried. All right, we have urgent business. We have no urgent business, but we do have public question time. There are some questions that have been received, two prior to this and one today. Have we dealt with? Okay, so Vaughan, shall I pass this over to you, the questions? The first one is from... Okay, the first one's from Alice Lamb. She isn't here because I've recognised the two people are here and they're not Alice's. So the question is, what is local government doing about relational violence against women? The second one of hers is, what is local government doing about spiking of women's drinks in local hotels? And what is local government doing about relational violence of every sort in local government schools, including from education staff to students?
Yeah, hi. Council does take a very strong stance against violence against women, and any allegations are investigated and actioned immediately. Council has employed a family violence officer, a family violence prevention officer for about the last year or so, and that the purpose is to raise awareness both with staff and the community over family and domestic violence. In relation to the second question, what is local government doing about spiking of women's drinks in local hotels? Local government doesn't have any authority to police those matters, although they are a concern. What is local government doing about relational violence of every sort in local government schools, including education staff and students? Once again, local government hasn't got any authority over the education department to conduct any observations of employees or the students. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. We'll get the results back in writing to Alice Lamb for her questions, and I thank her for her questions. The second one I've got is from Bonnie Carter. The question is, a huge amount of household rubbish is being dumped on public land on the edges of Stawell. This is due to the tip fees being unaffordable for many of our town who are struggling to put food on the table for their kids in the current economic climate. I realise the tip is not run by council, however, the council could distribute 2 free tip vouchers per year to households to help relieve the pressure, as well as have 2 hard rubbish collections and garden waste collections. Vaughan, are you happy to... Oh yes, that's right, it's a Trenton one. No, there's a little bit more to the question. I know our council has a big problem with funds, but it's also a big problem with dumped rubbish. Could council please investigate this issue and see what can be done as a council to alleviate the issue, rather than relying on local groups and individuals to clean up these dumped items? Mr. Fittall.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Mayor. So council's transfer station gate fees, and this includes Stawell, even though it's privately run, we do have some influence around its management. So our gate fees are generated on the principle that 50% of costs are principle that 50% of the costs of the running of the transfer station is subsidised by the wider community, and that comes through your waste charge, which is a component of your rates. And the remaining 50% of costs are borne by the user being the gate fees. So changes in gate fees or any additional services, be that vouchers or hard waste collections, have a direct impact on this 50% principle and need to be weighed up against councils and the community's financial capacity to pay. So we're in the process currently of tendering our curbside waste and recycling collection services. This will have a fairly big impact or dictate the costs of our curbside services into the next 10 years. Once council finalise that process in May, we can look at reviewing our waste and recycling supporting services, being transfer station, etc., and consider the request and the impact it'll have on the bottom line.
Thank you, Mr. Fittall. There are no further questions. These questions by Alice Lamb and Bonnie Carter will be answered in writing, and they will receive those shortly. No, I think we've solved that. It was a... Yeah. All right, that's it then.
You might just want to ask, she might want us to ask a question.
Prue, sorry, would you like us to ask that question? Would you like to ask it? Oh, sorry, they're on the blink. There we go. Oh no.
No, it goes on and off.
Yeah. There we go.
Thank you for this opportunity to ask a question. The fires in Pomona and Dadswells Bridge have been devastating for those communities. The Northern Grampians Shire Council is to be commended for its rapid response to the disaster. Blaze Aid is well known for coordinating volunteers to help these communities recover from floods, fires and storms. Can the Council tell me why the decision by the Northern Grampians Shire to have a Blaze Aid camp at Halls Gap was withdrawn at the 11th hour, creating much confusion and disruption to the already stretched resources for the Blaze Aid coordinators?
Thank you. Justine, would you like to respond to the question?
Thank you for the question. So obviously, as you know, Northern Grampians Shire, whilst we didn't have many residents severely impacted by the fires, we have our communities of interest, which are our neighbours in Ararat Rural City Council in Pomona, and also Dadswells Bridge in Horsham, who we're very closely connected to. So we've been obviously very committed to providing every amount of support that we can for those communities. So as part of that, since the 13th of February, following the terrible fires in Pomona and Dadswells Bridge, we have been in conversations with Blaze Aid and seeking to find a site for them. Initially in consultations with the Halls Gap Recreation Reserve Committee, they were unfortunately unable to host Blaze Aid on account of the number of events that are already being planned for and established at the reserve. There was a private site identified and Council were looking at the option of providing access to our Halls Gap Hub, which is also our visitor information centre, of which we service 100 to 200 visitors a day. It's our neighbourhood house, it's our community hall, which are used by the school on the severe weather days, etc. And it's also used for public toilets and for the commercial toilet access. So it's a very, very busy facility. But of course, we're looking to do anything that we can to support our community, you know, our associated community in Pomona. So on Friday, we were still unable to confirm whether Blaze Aid had a formal agreement with Ararat Rural City or with, for Pomona, or with Horsham Rural City at the time of speaking with Blaze Aid on Friday afternoon. So I needed to clarify that first of all. But we did say that we knew that Dadswells Bridge needed support and that it was very likely they'd have a formal agreement. So we said that we could definitely host them for a couple of weeks, given that support was needed, and that didn't suit their needs. So our support was not withdrawn, and we recognise the wonderful work that Blaze Aid do, and we also will really seek to support them into the future. So the community in Halls Gap are suffering quite a lot from the flow and effects of the fires. Many business owners and workers that live in Pomona also have businesses in Halls Gap, and vice versa with the school. There's a lot of children who live in Pomona that go to school in Halls Gap, and a lot of families who have children who go to school in Pomona who live in Halls Gap. So very, very close association. So with the park still reopening in stages, the businesses are very desperate and really need to welcome visitors back. So this is a very important consideration for us in how we deliver visitor services. So we're very sorry that we weren't able to provide a longer agreement for access to the hub, as I said, which is our very busy VIC, neighbourhood house, community hall and commercial space. And we're very pleased that they were able to find a site that met their needs, and we look forward to working with them in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Justine. Right, so I think that brings us to the end of our day today, so I'll declare the meeting closed at 1:14. Thank you all for coming.